Hello and welcome back, everybody. I'm Dan John, and this is the danjohnuniversity.com podcast. This is episode 105, which makes me kind of happy to say out loud. Before I begin, we had an interesting conversation on the forum over at Dan John University, and one of the people said something about travel and using the workout generator on the road. Now, I've always thought myself kind of an expert on traveling and training on the road, and I was kind of humbled a little bit, which it's not always easy to humble me, but the person basically said when they go to the hotel and they go to the little gym, they take out their phone, they have it on as we explained a time or two ago, they have it basically as an app on the phone, and they just plugged in the equipment that was in the gym, pressed the button, and boom, they got a perfect workout for the equipment that was in the gym that day. Thanks again to Brian for coming up with all this stuff. I find it amazing. I do travel a lot, and I always carry a Brett Contreras glute loop. I almost always have a mini band. And recently I've been traveling because during my bounce workshop, I always have this very deflated hacky sack ball and this lacrosse ball, and I first thought I would just roll around with this, but actually I kind of find it fun just to play catch in parking garages. Parking garages don't get used as much in hotels as they used to, because almost everybody Ubers and Lyfts or whatever now. Yeah, so I'd never thought of this, but using the workout generator as a travel training tool makes me happy. Makes me happy to say that out loud. Every week somebody tells me something new and better about the site, and that makes me happy. I work hard on the site, but as you know, anybody who does something, stuff just gets forgotten. You're working on this project here as I'm speaking. I just finished another new course last week on training across the lifetime, and that'll be free for our members only. And then I'm working on another course, and I get so caught up in the new stuff, I forget about all the stuff we've had around for a while. Hey, let's get started with the questions. Our first question today is from Jeff. Jeff is 61 years old, 5'10", 200 pounds, and 15% body fat. Jeff, hats off to you. That's solid work. I just ruptured my left distal bicep tendon, and I'm having surgery in a couple of days. It's 4 months until physical therapy is complete. I sure hope it cures. Be very careful in those 4 months. I was just with somebody, and they were telling me about a client they had who, I can't remember if they sneezed or something like that, but the angles were perfect, and the operation was undone. And it was something very simple, like a sneeze. I could have the story wrong, but I think that's the truth. I would like to hear any thoughts you could share on maintaining strength and condition as I recover. I walk with a weighted vest and can do squats with it. Well, that's not bad. At 215% body fat, that's going to do a lot of good for you. Be very careful putting that darn thing on, though. If you can, get help every time, and when you take it off, if you have the kinds I have, lay down on your back, unzip, and then just pull it one with your good arm. It'd be your right arm, I guess. Just pull it over your face. The one I have that has the plates that slide out, which are great. The Perform Better one, I wouldn't use that one because you'll probably lose some teeth. But the other ones that I have from the other companies that are a lot more solid state, good advantage, disadvantage. That would be great. So go zip, pull it over your head and stand up. Get help putting it on though. Or I guess you could do that. He also asked about upper body work, and I've told this story a million times when I broke this wrist in many pieces, and Dr. Vanderhooft kept asking me, what am I doing, because I'm recovering so quickly. Well, the body's one piece, the body's one piece, the body's one piece. So if you can do any upper body work, and this would be a nice thing if you have a suspension trainer You can do one arm rows. You could do, if you have any kind of kettlebell or dumbbell, you can do, you can do a plethora of one arm bench. That's what I did, and it really, really kept me in good shape. So what happens is, all the magic, when I'm working out, the hormones and the minerals and the amino acids, they don't just go, okay, they don't just fly over to the area you worked out. They travel to your whole body. I would recommend, if you can, front squats with the straight arm like I did. You could probably back squat. I didn't like back squatting with a single arm. I always feel like I get a little crooked. But with the front squat, I feel more balanced because of the pressure points. Your mileage may vary. But anything you can do for your upper body. I like the suspension trainer pulls. I like the overhead presses. It's all going to make a difference, Jeff. I think the fact that you're even thinking about it is good. I wouldn't maybe give yourself a break about the weighted walks for a while. Don't go right back in. 7 days a week, 22 hours a day kind of thing. Throw in some walking. I've always noticed for a few days after a surgery, even weeks, my digestive system, my elimination system, my urination system, because if they put that thing inside there, gets a little, things need to be kind of putting back in place. I just don't want you to get yourself on a walk, and if you have any kind of issue, I feel very comfortable with you sitting on a curb for a minute, but sitting on a curb for a minute with a vest is a radically different thing. So take your time, work your upper body, stay in a safe zone as much as you can. All right. If you know me, I'm not I think you should push it, but there's times to push and there's times to not push. Okay. Ecclesiastes says the same thing. All right. Good luck to you. And if you could follow up, I'd like to find out how the surgery went. Thank you, Jeff. We have a question from Danielle. Beautiful name. I've heard you say that fast twitch muscle fibers are important to staying young, and of course important for athletic performance. Yeah, there you go. Aside from the Olympic lifts, I do not have a barbell. How would you recommend training to focus on fast twitch fibers? Well, the nice thing, Danielle, is that we are hardwired for some of the best stuff you can do. I don't know what your situation is socially, but hide and go seek, playing tag, playing ultimate frisbee, chasing. If you have a dog like I do, and we don't play catch, he gets the ball and we chase each other around. Anything that has stops and starts in it would be perfect. 3-on-3 basketball game. We used to play this game for my throwers. We would play soccer without goalies because it was just fun. The Olympics, just any of those sports, it would be great. Jumping is good. Even jumping push-ups, if you can do them, those ones you leave the ground. Boy, if you don't give me anything like age or anything else, but I think one of the beauties of sprinting hills is that it is a fast twitch. You'll feel when you slow down. That's the fast twitch fibers going. Well, okay, we're done. I would say maybe if I could do it this way, for most people, and I'll have to guess that. For most people, I'd say play, find things to play. Get yourself in a kickball league. Get yourself into a dodgeball league. I don't know, and just have some fun with it. In the gym, you can do jumps. You can do medicine ball throws. I think medicine ball throws are. It's funny how they swim in and swim out, swim in and swim out of the field. I have always felt that medicine balls were probably the most underrated thing you can do. Throwing them into a wall and this way, this way, this way, this way, behind your back. The Finns have exercises. They put them on their inner thighs and they throw them for height. They pick them up with their heels and they try to throw it over their head and pick them up with the balls of their feet and try to throw it and catch it behind. Have fun. Throw things. Jump. Those are the best. Thank you. We have another question from another Jeff, a much younger Jeff. I'm 34 years old and I want to begin training to climb a large mountain, 14,000 plus feet, here in Northern California, while I live at sea level. I have heard you recommend keeping ruck weight to around 30 pounds, but my climb will require about a 45-pound pack. Yeah. So yeah, that 30 around pounds, that's not me. Okay, that's the centurions, that's the Roman legions. That number about 15 kilos, 33 pounds ish, and that general has been around for a long time. It's the weight of a pack that a person can kind of do day in, day out for a long, long, long time. I mean, if you're the Roman Empire and you had to take a saunter over to Egypt, I mean, that's a pretty long walk. I know all roads lead to Rome, but that's still a long walk. I've personally never done it. I've flown that. It's still a good sized flight. So, yeah, that's the only reason I recommend that, is that I prefer that you go for these heavy hands, weighted ankles, ankle weights around your ankles. I'd like to see you do it for 50, 60, 70 years. And if you overload, and I've done it, and I tell you, man, I have a story or two. Once I got Phil Maffetone's earbuds, the heart rate monitors that are here, and I had sunglasses on, and this is when I first experimented with fermented food. And I still was making the error of buying sauerkraut from the store, which is a little too salty. And you'll know the difference if you make your own sauerkraut. You'll know what I mean. So I had that on. It was the beginning of COVID, so I had to have a mask on. So earbuds, sunglasses, mask, hand weights, heavy, 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 heavy vest, and ankle weights. And I had this weird panic, like the panic you might get scuba diving in caves. I was just I kind of freaked out. I'm a big kid, and I calmed myself down, but it was like, wow. So that's one of the small reasons you kind of keep an eye on overloading. I think, I would recommend that you go right to that 45-pound pack for your training. And of course, we believe in progressive resistance exercise here, so you could probably go 10 to 15 pounds more than that. My only concern as you shoot those numbers up higher and higher, of course, would be getting it to work. No matter what your pack is, if you have two big kettlebells in there. But one thing I would like you to think about too is wearing the ankle weights. Mine are 5 pounds each. They're very easy to put on and off. And it'll just, I don't believe what they used to teach us back in the 60s about ankle weights. But one thing it does for me is it improves my gait, G-A-I-T. So when I have ankle weights on, that's what my stride looks like. Because of my long-term athletic career, I used to walk like this. Ankle weights forced me to walk like this with, left, right, left, right. And that might be something you want to think about, is your stride. And good luck on this, Jeff. It's not an impossible feat to climb that, but it's still, that's a lot of height. And good luck to you. Thank you. Okay, we have a question from David. I hope you can settle, or at least shed a little light on an argument I've been having for years. As a recreational rugby player and coach, I've run into many coaches who see distance running, usually around 5K, as both a strong indicator of rugby fitness and training practice for getting players fit. And that would be a much older way of looking at things, when you read Casino Royale, the first James Bond movie. He talked about getting in shape. He goes for a 1-mile run and he swims. And back when that book came out, that was cutting edge stuff. I think we've progressed a little bit beyond that. I personally vehemently disagree, and by the way, I understand both sides of this argument, so I'm fine. While I agree that most fit rugby players can complete a solid 5K run, I don't think those who specifically train to be effective 5K runners will necessarily be physically ready to compete in rugby. Exactly. I personally have found interval-based work and strength training to be a far more efficient combination, a better indicator of physical readiness, and more applicable in physically preparing a player for the season. Where do you stand on distance running for rugby players? All right. When they do those studies on football, soccer, and rugby, soccer, football, and rugby, football, we do discover that they do go, let's say in a soccer match, 10K. They might run 10K in a soccer match. Okay, that's but the bulk of that is at a slow, get yourself into position jog. And then they measure and they find out that there are times there is a need for absolute sprinting, but a lot of the game is we're zigzagging, and some of the game is not as much as some sports, but standing around. In rugby, being a what I call a quadrant 2 sport, you need to have armor, physical armor. You need to be able to put a hit on somebody. You need to get going and get sprinting. You need to run people down. You need to break away. You need to have the engine to stop a breakaway, bounce up off the ground, and get going. So let me just say this way, David, as kindly as I can. There is a value in the garbage junk miles of 5K running. There is value in it. But that is just a tiny, tiny part of the big picture. You need intervals. You need serious strength training, even at the recreational level. You need a lot of practice. You probably will find that the best way to get in shape for rugby is playing the game in the condition. Now, the other thing like size and speed, you can certainly, and that's why you hire guys like me. But to get into that specific kind of shape for rugby, you probably need to play a lot of rugby and practice those specific things that happen in your sport. I hope that helps. All right. Thank you. We have a question from Miska. How do you structure police officer training when so many different qualities are required? I need to be strong, sprint, fight, have some endurance, and able to de-escalate situations without being out of breath. I am struggling to figure out how to put everything together. It's interesting because Miska and David's questions are very similar. Police officers, the bulk of what you do as a police officer is going to be sitting in your car. The bulk of the time, your badge, your uniform, your police car, and your gun are probably going to de-escalate a lot of situations. It's a power law. Being a police officer is very much a power law. It's like being a firefighter in most places. My cousin Jim talked about it one time when, he was the fire chief, and he talked to me about how when you have a career as a fireman, 30, 40-year career, you might have one great firefight, and some fires, some minimal fires here and there, but you probably only have one real great firefight in your career. And most of the time, not very much happens at all. With police officers, you would have more. It would be a rare police officer that would have more than, when you see it on TV, it looks like there's a gun battle on every, but that'd be very rare for multiple gun battles by one police officer. But you're right. You have to be a Boy Scout. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready to go. The Coast Guard motto. You need a broad training approach, much like you're constantly getting ready for an American football game. So you do need some, you need some hypertrophy work. You need some power work. Ideally, you wouldn't just get yourself just doing power lifts. Ideally, you would do some kind of ballistic thing. I like to snatch and clean, of course, that. But there's other options. There's plenty of other things. A lot of people now are pushing the trap bar jumping squats. My friend Ann does goblet squats, leaping goblet squats. She jumps right here. There is going to need some junk conditioning. So that would be, that'd be rowing machine, that'd be the jogging, that'd be the long swimming. But what you also need to do is make sure you do things that are extremely intense. So yeah, you lift weights, sure, okay, no question, and work on some ballistics. So good. You probably need some garbage running just to de-stress you, and then you need some specific hard, and probably combinations is the best thing. If I had a police officer facility, I would have built into the gym chain link fence, and then I'd probably have like a fire escape or two, at least stairwells, and we would do a lot of chain link jumping over, fence climbs and jumping over, because that happens a lot. Maybe shorter fence jump overs. I would have them built into the facility, literally built into the facility. And I love this idea. And I did this for a SWAT team, and they actually have it in there now. This SWAT team, I helped design this one little section, and really all it is it's not even that big of a chain link fence. It would easily fit in my small office here. The chain link fence, and they scramble up, go to the other side. There's another fence, the kind about this high, the one you kind of do that little horse jump over, like pop over. I think it'd be a good idea to have some kind of barrel to crawl through, and then maybe at the end of it, you have to like punch or kick or strike for 20 strikes or something like that, and do it for time, and then and for sets and practice. It might not even be a bad idea if you had a shooting range right there. And now we're going into crazy time, but where you could get your heart rate up to 180, 190, and then test yourself with your accuracy, over 1, 2, 3, or 4 shots. It's like I tell people when I look at people who study basketball, and they say, well, we got out of 10 shots when they did this at the free throw line, my boys got 7. Stupid, because in basketball, well, I guess now there's 3, but you generally only get 1 or 2 free throws. I don't care what happens on shot 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 from the free throw line, because the show's over. I've never seen someone shoot 10 free throws in a game, So, I would say, maybe if you had some kind of thing where you did some kind of, well, I like this idea, chain link fence, jump over one, jump over another one, go through a tunnel, hand crawl through a tunnel, do something. I like the idea of, like maybe heavy bag, boom, 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 whatever the amount, either number of strikes or time. And then you have some kind of, it could even be an air gun or something like that, where you strive for accuracy with that elevated heart rate. Just some ideas, my friend. Thanks for what you do, and I hope that helps a little bit. Keep your body weight down, and be sure you practice positive stress reduction in life. Okay, thank you. We have a question from Tim. Tim. He says, I'm wondering about your thoughts on in-season training as opposed to out-of-season training for amateur contact team sports players. Rugby, oh, okay, yeah. If you're just having fun in an adult hockey or rugby team, it's funny, the questions seem to have a rhythm this week. It's going to be that situation where the best conditioning you can do at the level you're at is play the sport. So once you're in season, I mean, if I were you, I would just, if you're in a hockey league where you play 2 nights a week and on Saturdays, you're probably going to be recovering the other 4 days a week. I would like it to do what I saw. I used to work with a team called the San Francisco Shamrocks. And if you've ever heard of them, you're a hockey buff. And their most famous thing at the time, anyway, was 2 of the 3 Hanson brothers from Slapshot were on the team. And I got to know those guys pretty well. And as I've often joked, trust me, they weren't acting. Um, that's funny. Uh, what they used to do is they would take over tennis courts on the weekend and play hockey with tennis balls. And these guys were amazingly good with tennis balls instead of pucks. And when they found out Americans played with plastic pucks, I remember the one guy just looked at me like, "Why not just use tennis balls? They're they're everywhere." And I'm like, yeah, "That's a good plan." Um, Off season, depending on your seriousness, I would still love to see you guys have pickup games. I still think that's better. Um, but yeah, I mean, I could see in and off season for at your level, I think you should lift weights. You should lift weights at least 2 days a week if you can. I'd love to see you go for more walks. I'd love to see you, practice your sport. In those two workouts, use the workout generator. Dan John University, save yourself a lot of thinking and hassle. Walks would be great. But then as your season gets closer, you're going to have to do some dynamic stuff. I like the idea of playing pickup games. I like the idea of just showing up and getting some ice time. Um, to me, that's the best stuff you can do. It's pretty simple. And the better condition you can show up in, the less injuries your team will have. I mean, contact sports people still get hurt no matter what you do. But I think everyone will be happier in the long run if you show up in shape. Thank you. We have a question from Harshvardhan. Is there a problem with working out first thing in the morning? No. Oh, I've been told it's bad for the spine. Yeah, that's more of a question for Stu McGill. I mean, I do know that in the mornings there's more, because you've been laying down. There's more space and the fluid. But I have trained in the mornings, for a long time, my friend, and I have seen no issues with that. I like training in the mornings because I am often not at my best, and so many legendary bodybuilders trained in the morning, and I've heard a couple reasons for it. Steve Michalik, Bill Pearl, and one of the reasons is that you jumpstart you into just a great day of focusing on body composition, which is their sport. Um, I don't know if it's bad for the spine. I have a hard time thinking. I don't ever necessarily believe anything by itself is patently good or bad. I mean, it's in the dosage. I think it's fine. He has a follow-up question. Also, is there any problem with following one lift a day for a long period of time? And when people ask that silly question, if you go back in time, what would one thing I would have done is done the one lift a day longer. When Dave Turner got me doing those seasons, the best lifting of my career. And then this guy talked me out of it. And I remember Dave talking to me about a couple months later because I was just broken. I hated these workouts. They were terrible. And Dave said, you turn yourself into one of the best lifters in the United States, and then you did this other program and you turn yourself into an injured, well, he didn't call me a fat blob or anything, but that's basically what I was. Yeah, I like one lift a day if you have solid choices. Now, I mean, if it's reverse curl, tricep extension, wrist curl, don't do it. But if it's front squat, snatch, clean, yeah, it works out pretty well. Nick Horton has an article over at Breaking Muscle called Chill or something like that. I have it in my Wandering Weights coming up. And he talks about just doing 2 lifts a day, and that's it. And it's interesting because one of his lifts is the clean and jerk, which is, of course, I guess he's calling that 2 lifts. But if you did clean and press on Monday and took it seriously, front squat on Tuesday, snatch on Wednesday, clean and jerk on Friday, or however it works out. That's a pretty good 4 days, All right. Thank you, and I hope it works out for you. We have a question from Maddie. I can clean and press a 32 kettlebell for multiple reps each set, but I can't double clean two 32s in order to do a double kettlebell front squat with them. So I do my squats with a pair of 24s, which is too light for me. I can squat way more than 64K with a barbell for sets and reps, but thanks to COVID restrictions where I live, I can only train in my apartment with my kettlebells. When I grab the kettlebells and swing them back between my legs to perform a clean, I feel like I'm about to fall forward with my face to the floor, and I can't generate enough power to bring the load up to the rack position. In case you need this information, I'm a 6'2" male and weigh about 190 pounds. Are there any drills or other exercises that help me get strong enough to clean the double 32s? Any advice, insights, or tips would be appreciated. Yeah, go to my YouTube channel and look at my double kettlebell stuff. My guess is that you might not be starting correctly. When I start, and I can't, this is a podcast, so be sure you look at the videos. When I start, this is my butt. This will be my head. I look there. My nose is bigger than that. There you go. There you go. I'll put some hair here. So when I start, I push my butt back to here, and then I have the kettlebells way out here. That's the position I start in. I drag them a couple inches, and then I cast it right into. So I am swing and cleaning from the very first rep. Some people who struggle with the double heavies anyway, they try to start with the weight right between their feet, which I don't know who taught that, but it's wrong. That's the way you start a barbell, not a kettlebell. When I do these workshops, that's something I have to go on day one. This is a kettlebell workshop. This is not a barbell workshop. And even though they're weights and we have some of the same names, it's a different movement. So look that up and get back to me if you can. Okay? I'd like to see a video too. All right, thanks. We have a question from Brett. Is it okay not to do the bench press? Yes, you have my permission. Do you see any downsides, weaknesses to skipping a chest pec exercise like benching? Will my overhead presses develop that region at all on their own? Well, Brett, I haven't bench pressed since, I don't know. I don't think I've really benched this millennia. Honestly, I took a lot of good advice from some of the older people who've helped me, and guys like Dick Notmeyer and some other coaches, Ralph Mon, have felt. Coach Mon's no longer with us, but the over exaggeration on the bench press. If you want to look good in clothes, doing your your overhead work is going to make you look a lot better in suits and shirts. I'll go around sometimes and I'll see the guys who obviously bench a lot, and I just want to sit down with them and say, hey man, you're right on the fringe of looking fat now. You're going to look terrible in a few years because their posture starts to turn over. Yeah, I think it's okay not to bench press. I'm a discus thrower, and I don't think the pecs are that important because I'm such a believer in whole body strength. Your mileage may vary, and I'm sure some people, whenever I have this will probably be titled, do I need to bench press? And a whole bunch of people will come to my YouTube account and say really stupid things. And I applaud them, because when you say something stupid in a public forum like YouTube, most of your friends probably realize you're an idiot, but you give the rest of us an opportunity to realize you're stupid too by posting on my YouTube. Yeah, I don't think you need them at all. I don't. Now you can send this to some other strength coach and they'll have a totally different idea. Like back squats, I've never seen a lot of correlation between bench and performance. Yeah. But boy, snatch, front squat, clean and jerk, overhead press, tons. I hope that helps. Well. We have a question from Louise, and she's doing that thing that I always find interesting on the podcast. My boyfriend, Adam, listens to great deal to your podcast. So if your name is Adam and your girlfriend's name is Louise, it's probably about you, my friend. I'm hoping you can help. Sure, he seems to have no interest in understanding the value of sleep on his body. I was boy, I tell you, Louise, boy, there's a lot of men out there. A guy who doesn't respect sleep? Whew. Wow. I was hoping he works a lot and has equally intensive training plan, running 10 to 25 kilometers a week, 2 or 3 sessions of 5-3-1. Yeah, Louise, you know your stuff. And alternates some Muay Thai and Olympic lifting in different cycles. Wow. He also cycles a great deal, 40 to 60K, has extensive collection of kettlebells, and has recently incorporated a lot of press-ups and skipping. Yes, all of that. And Louise, you already show too much kindness. Yeah. He seems to think he can survive on 4 hours of sleep and pushes through despite being clearly fatigued. Am I being unnecessarily concerned about his sleep? It's affecting his mood and would greatly appreciate advice on what levels he should be looking at as a basic. Wow. First off, there are almost mutants in the human population that can live on 3 and 4 hours of sleep. In fact, I know that in one case they're being studied because the military wants to know, which I think is cruel. But so here's a couple of things. Okay, I looked up some stuff for you. There's Judith Carroll's an author, and she has a very simple thing about Adam's biological age is much higher than his actual chronological age. The research on this comes from studying mothers, and they found that for every additional hour a young mother has, her biological age, and how'd they test it? Telomeres, the shorter telomeres in their white blood cells. And telomeres are the caps on the ends of chromosomes. So if a mommy gets this much sleep, her biological age is her chronological age. If young mommy gets this much sleep, her biological age is higher than her chronological age. So number one, he's aging faster. Number two, and this is from a researcher by the name of Wang Kong Lim. It only takes a few nights. If you sleep 7, your telomeres are longer than if you sleep 5, and that happens within weeks. This next one, it's in a one night of partial sleep deprivation promoted biological aging. One night. And then the one that I thought was most important, and this is my thing. The lack of sleep impacts your gut biome. Okay. I'm real big into this. The work of Rusty Moore really got me going down this path. So I eat kimchi twice a day. I eat sauerkraut whenever I have it. Any kind of meats of a certain family, I always eat them. The gut biome is impacted deeply by lack of sleep, and it could be because your body is scrambling to keep up. And I've noticed one thing about people who don't sleep a lot: they tend to eat like crap. They use a lot of fake foods and fast foods and things like that. So yeah, the big thing is he is aging quickly in your eyes. You can do anything you want, and you can do anything you want for a long time. But the cliche that I use constantly: you're writing checks that your body's going to have to cash sooner or later, and that's not always a fun thing. Boy, that was a good question. Thank you. And let me know. Let me know if that has an impact or not. But thank you. One thing too is that performance is going to suffer sadly. Since he's doing all that stuff, he might not notice it. But in my world, where people, train years and years and years, for 3 trial throws in the discus, three, one, two, 1, 2, 3. That there's no. It's a very razor thin line between having all your dreams come true and being upset the rest of your life, I guess. I hope that helps. Well, there you go. There's the podcast 105, and I'm happy to be here. So listen, if you have questions, podcast at danjohnuniversity.com. We try our best to answer each and every one. One of the issues we're having now, of course, is that we're answering a lot of the exact same-ish questions. But hey, here's the thing. With the 105 podcasts, and you have a question, there's a good chance you won't go through the other 104. So I will continue to answer many of the same questions again and again, which is actually kind of fun because I do change my mind about things. I always try to show academic integrity and talk to you about why I change my minds on things. But if you have questions, as always, podcast at danjohnuniversity.com. And until next time, keep on lifting and learning. Thank you.